What's holding the world together? No, I'm serious. What is it? Beyond, the obvious things like bolts and welds, there's this silent, sticky force. It's everywhere. And today, we're taking a deep dive into that. The fascinating and, frankly, surprisingly massive global adhesive market. We've got some incredible data here from the Global Adhesive Market Forecast to 2033. It gives us a really detailed look at market revenue, growth projections, regional stuff. So our mission today, let's peel back the layers on this industry that, honestly, most of us probably don't think about much. We want to highlight just how big it is and figure out what these projections really mean for, well, for all of us. You'll definitely walk away with a new appreciation for what's sticking our world together. Okay, so let's start with the big picture, because the global adhesive market is way bigger than you probably guessed. We're talking about an industry that generated nearly $60 billion. That was back in 2021.
59.787 billion to be exact.
Right, almost $60 billion. And here's where it gets really interesting. It's not just big, it's growing fast. It's projected to surge past $106 billion by 2033. That's a compound annual growth rate, the CAGR. Nearly 5%, almost 4.9% actually.
Yeah, 4.898%.
Okay, let's unpack that. A nearly 5% growth rate for something so, well, fundamental as adhesives, especially given how big it already is. That tells us a lot.
It absolutely does. When we look at that kind of consistent, robust growth, it's really more than just more blue. This market reflects some pretty profound shifts in how products are designed, how they're manufactured today.
How so?
Well, we're seeing this significant move away from traditional fastening methods, screws, nails, welding, towards advanced adhesive solutions.
Okay, why is that?
Because modern adhesives, they often offer superior benefits. They can be lighter, they can be stronger, provide better seals, dampen vibrations. They can even bond totally different materials together, things that couldn't be joined easily before.
Right, like plastics to metals, maybe?
Exactly. Think about lightweighting in cars and planes, or flexible bonds in cutting-edge electronics, even just, sustainable packaging. It's really advanced material science enabling the future of manufacturing. And that's why this seemingly sort of invisible market is growing so powerfully. It's not just sticking things together, it's making things better, more efficient, and often making entirely new things possible.
Wow, okay. That context really makes those numbers jump off the page. It's not just volume, it's innovation driving it. All right, let's break down these billions by geography then. Where should we start? How about the established powerhouses?
Makes sense. North America and Europe?
Okay, North America.
Right.
It represents a huge chunk of this market. It was valued at nearly $24 billion back in 2021.
23.85 billion.
Yeah. And it's set to grow to over $40 billion by 2033.
40.858 billion. That's substantial growth.
It really is. And the United States accounts for the lion's share of that, right?
Yeah.
Growing from around $19 billion
So it's 0.977 billion, yeah.
to over $31 billion by 2033.
31.857 billion projected.
And Canada and Mexico also contributing significantly. Canada's looking at, what, $2.8 billion up to $5.3 billion?
Right. And Mexico from about $2 billion up to $3.6 billion. Solid growth across the board there.
So zooming out, what does North America's strength tell us?
Well, its consistent expansion really underscores the strength and, maturity of its industrial and consumer sectors. The growth here isn't just general consumption. It's heavily driven by high-value applications.
Like what?
Things like high-performance adhesives in electric vehicle manufacturing, advanced construction techniques, and the huge e-commerce packaging sector. That's a big one. It's the sustained demand, but also layered with adopting newer, more specialized adhesives for increasingly complex products.
Absolutely. Okay, let's hop across the Atlantic. Europe, another giant, valued at over $17 billion in 2021.
17.279 billion.
And projected to approach $30 billion by 2033.
3 billion, yeah.
And we see strong contributions from industrial hubs like Germany. They're set to grow from roughly $3 billion to nearly $5 billion.
Almost $3 billion in 21 to $4.8 billion in 33. Significant.
Right. And France, the UK, Russia, also major players, each looking at substantial growth too.
France going from 2.45 up to 4.57 billion. UK from 2.2 up to 3.5. Russia, 2.36 up to 3.8.
And then beyond those, there are loads of other European nations chipping in. Italy, Spain, Sweden, the Nordics, Switzerland.
Right, and the rest of Europe category itself is pretty big, going from 2.8 billion up towards nearly 6 billion by 2033.
So what's the key takeaway for Europe compared to North America?
What really stands out in Europe is that broad-based contribution you just mentioned. While North America's growth might be more concentrated in certain, dominant industries, Europe's market reflects this wide array of specialized manufacturing across many nations.
Interesting. So that makes it more resilient, maybe?
Possibly. You've got the strong focus on eco-friendly packaging driven by EU rules. You've got precision manufacturing in places like Switzerland, big auto and construction sectors across the continent. Each country kind of brings its unique industrial strength, and all of them need tailored adhesive solutions. So it creates this very robust, very varied demand.
Got it. Okay, now let's turn our attention to what many people call the engine of global growth, Asia Pacific.
Ah, yes. And the adhesive market is definitely no exception there.
Right. This market, okay, it started smaller than North America or Europe, around $11 billion in 2021.
11.24 billion.
But it's projected to nearly double, to reach over $22 billion by 2033.
22.265 billion. That's a huge growth rate.
It's explosive, really.
Mm-hmm.
So who's leading the charge there? China stands out, an absolute titan, set to expand from roughly $3.3 billion
2.369 billion.
to over $6 billion.
6.268 billion. Doubling, essentially.
Japan is also a major force, projected to approach $5 billion by 2033.
Yeah, 2.5 billion up to 4.65 billion. Still very significant.
And India. The report highlights strong growth there, more than doubling from about $1.7 billion to nearly $3.9 billion.
1.755 up to 3.881 billion. That's very strong growth indeed.
And then you've got South Korea, Australia, Taiwan, Southeast Asia, all contributing.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the big story behind these Asia-Pacific numbers?
Well, the sheer scale and, frankly, the speed of growth in APAC, especially with China and India leading, it tells a very compelling story. It's about global industrialization, rapid urbanization. This isn't just, more factories churning out the same old stuff. It's the rapid expansion of modern infrastructure, the explosion in consumer electronics, the rise of new manufacturing hubs for things like EV batteries, solar panels.
Right, all needing adhesives.
Exactly. And these sectors heavily rely on advanced adhesives for performance, for efficiency. India's growth is particularly noteworthy. It really mirrors its rapid economic development, that increasing domestic demand across so many industries. This region is truly pivotal, driving both volume and innovation in the global adhesive market.
Okay, fascinating. Now, let's move to regions where the growth stories are maybe still unfolding, but there's definitely significant potential. South America.
Right. Still developing, but showing consistent upward trends.
Valued at just over $4 billion in 2021.
4.066 billion.
Projected to grow to nearly $8 billion by 2033.
7.959 billion. So almost doubling as well over that longer period.
And Brazil leads the charge there. Its market set to nearly double, too.
Yeah, from 1.3 billion up to almost 2.5 billion.
And we also see important contributions from Argentina, Colombia, Peru, Chile.
A diverse South American market.
Okay, shifting over to the Middle East.
Yeah.
Generated over $2.2 billion in 2021.
2.212 billion.
On track to reach roughly $3.4 billion by 2033.
3.449 billion. Steady growth.
And Saudi Arabia is a key player there, along with Turkey, UAE, Egypt, Qatar.
Saudi Arabia goes from about 840 million up to nearly 1.3 billion.
And finally, Africa. This market started at around $1.1 billion in 2021.
1.136 billion.
Projected to grow to over $2 billion by 2033.
2.091 billion. So not quite doubling, but still significant growth from a smaller base.
Nigeria and South Africa are notable contributors there.
Yes, South Africa projected to grow from about 385 million to nearly 700 million, and Nigeria from about 220 million towards 400 million.
So what connects these regions, South America, the Middle East, Africa, in terms of this market?
What they really highlight is just how global this industry's expansion is. Their growth, it's closely tied to really fundamental development. Expanding infrastructure, increasing industrialization, the rise of new consumer class.
Building blocks, essentially.
Exactly. And while their current market sizes are smaller compared to the giants like North America or Asia Pacific, their consistent growth rates point to significant future opportunities. As these economies continue to mature, build out their industrial bases, well, adhesives are fundamental to that. These are the regions where you can really see the foundational role of adhesives as new buildings go up, new factories open, new goods hit the market.
So after all that, what does this all mean? We've journeyed through tens of billions of dollars across every continent, all for a product most of us just take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
From the phone in your hand, the packaging on your groceries, the car you drive, adhesives are quite literally everywhere, quietly holding our modern world together.
It's true. This deep dive really underscores how even these seemingly unseen industries, like adhesives, are just colossal economic drivers. They're not just supporting the global economy, they're actually enabling its evolution.
Enabling, how so?
Well, the growth we've talked about isn't just about more of the same stuff. It's about technological advancements, it's about new manufacturing processes, global development, all silently facilitated by these crucial materials. It's really a testament to how fundamental and actually how innovative this market truly is.
So next time you look at, well, almost anything around you, your furniture, your running shoes, maybe even your morning coffee cup, think about those silent, sticky bonds making it all possible. And maybe think, what other hidden industries do you suppose are driving the global economy in ways we don't often recognize, just underpinning our daily lives without us even knowing it? We definitely encourage you to keep exploring those connections between these fundamental markets and your daily life. You might be surprised at what you find. Okay, let's unpack this. Stop for a moment. Just, look around you. Everything from the screen you're staring at to the clothes you're wearing, even the packaging on your last delivery. What's the unsung hero holding it all together? It's something so fundamental, yet so incredibly advanced that we almost never even think about it. Adhesives.
It really is. It's kind of the invisible revolution happening all around us. We often think of glues as, well, simple things, right? Basic stuff. But the truth is, they are at the very heart of how much of our modern world is actually constructed and, held together.
That's fascinating. And that's exactly why today we're taking a deep dive into the global adhesives market. It's far more dynamic, more impactful than you might imagine. Our mission really is to understand the powerful market drivers fueling its, well, explosive growth.
Yeah.
And also the significant challenges it faces and the transformative future trends that are reshaping this essential industry. We'll try to uncover how something seemingly simple is enabling global innovation and, importantly, sustainability efforts too.
Yeah, exactly. And we're here to help you connect the dots. Why this seemingly niche topic impacts, well, everything. From the fuel efficiency and safety of your car, especially if it's an electric vehicle, to the incredible speed of your e-commerce deliveries, and even the very buildings that make up our smart cities. Get ready for some genuine aha moments, I think, about this quiet force that bonds our world.
So let's kick things off with those forces sticking everything together.
Yeah.
The market drivers. What's truly propelling this industry forward right now, beyond just, general growth?
Well, what's really insightful here is how adhesive demand is absolutely booming. And it's booming as a direct result of broad industrial growth across a few key sectors. Think construction, automotive, and packaging. These aren't just growing. They're evolving in ways that demand advanced bonding solutions.
Right. It's not just more stuff being built. It's how it's being built.
Yeah.
You mentioned construction. There's this massive global construction and infrastructure boom. Where are we seeing the biggest impact of that on adhesives specifically?
Oh, we're witnessing a huge surge, particularly in emerging regions like Asia, Pacific, and the Middle East. Think about the scale of urbanization initiatives and the colossal government spending on new transit corridors, commercial real estate, entire smart cities. All of this translates directly into a massive increase in demand for adhesives, in everything from flooring and insulation to complex tile installations and panel bonding.
Can you give us some specific examples? Where are these adhesives becoming really indispensable?
Absolutely. India's ambitious smart cities mission is a perfect illustration. That, along with the ongoing mega infrastructure developments across the GCC countries, these huge projects are driving a significant uptake of low VOC, that's volatile organic compound adhesives, and high-performance ones, too. These aren't just for convenience. They're part of a huge push towards safer, more durable materials that meet modern building standards.
Okay, so beyond massive buildings, there's also a critical shift happening in automotive manufacturing, particularly around lightweight materials, right, to meet stricter fuel efficiency standards. How are adhesives playing a revolutionary role there?
This is where it gets truly transformative, I think. Automotive OEMs, original equipment manufacturers, especially in places like Europe, China, and the US, they're actively replacing traditional methods, things like welds and mechanical fasteners, replacing them with high-strength structural adhesives. And this isn't just a minor tweak. It allows them to bond incredibly light materials like aluminum and carbon composites. materials that welding often struggles with, due to heat distortion. Adhesives distribute stress evenly across the joint, often making the bonded area actually stronger than the material itself.
So it's not just about convenience. It's actually about structural integrity
Yeah.
and saving weight. How much of an impact are we talking about in terms
Yeah.
of weight reduction or, say, fuel efficiency?
It's pretty significant. We're talking about reducing vehicle weight by maybe up to 30% in some cases,
Right.
which can translate directly into maybe a 10–15% improvement in fuel economy. That radically transforms emissions targets. And then there's the whole electric vehicle revolution. EV manufacturers are heavily adopting adhesives for battery module bonding and crucial thermal management. For instance, companies like Tesla and BYD are integrating heat conductive adhesives to safely manage the heat generated by battery packs, which is critical for both performance and, of course, safety.
Safety, right, crucial. So from cars, let's pivot to something we all interact with constantly, e-commerce. The sheer volume of packaged goods flying around the globe must be an enormous driver for adhesives.
Oh, absolutely. The e-commerce and packaged goods boom has triggered an unprecedented surge in demand, particularly for flexible packaging and labeling adhesives. Hot melt and pressure-sensitive adhesives are now widely used in everything, from corrugated box sealing to the precision labeling needed for efficient last-mile logistics.
Yeah, I can just picture the scale of operations in those massive fulfillment centers. How has that demand fundamentally reshaped what adhesive companies need to provide, beyond just basic stickiness, I mean?
That's a great question. Take Amazon's extensive packaging logistics, for example. The reliance on automation has really pushed suppliers. They need to develop adhesives that are not just strong, but also fast-curing, compatible with high-speed machinery, food-safe, and increasingly recyclable, too. And it's not just Amazon. FMCG, fast-moving consumer goods, brands, and logistics companies globally, they're all seeking adhesives that balance speed, strength, and sustainability for their packaging needs at an immense scale.
Okay, so we've painted a picture of incredible growth, driven by these really powerful forces. But as with any booming industry, this success isn't without its own set of complex hurdles, right? What hidden pressures are putting the brakes on this growth, or at least making it, well, tricky?
Yeah, there are definitely challenges. A particularly tricky aspect is raw material price volatility. Most high-performance adhesive formulations still heavily depend on petroleum-based inputs, things like acrylics, epoxies, polyurethanes.
So fluctuations in crude oil prices, maybe because of geopolitical crises or supply chain disruptions,
Yeah.
they directly impact production costs. It's like the geopolitics of oil impacting how sticky our world is. That's a connection most people probably wouldn't immediately make.
Precisely. And this makes it a real struggle, especially for smaller manufacturers. Hard to maintain pricing consistency or pass on rising costs without losing competitiveness. It's a fundamental economic challenge. And at the same time, you've got environmental regulations. That's another significant hurdle. Entities like the EPA, REACH in Europe, ECA, they're exerting increasing pressure, pushing companies to reformulate adhesives for lower VOC levels and reduce toxicity.
Which sounds like a good thing, right?
Okay.
Moving towards water-based and solvent-free options. So where's the sticky wicket there? What's the real challenge preventing them from becoming universal?
It is definitely a good thing overall, and water-based and solvent-free adhesives are gaining popularity, which is positive. However, here's the paradox, or the challenge perhaps. Certain high-performance industrial applications, think aerospace or advanced electronics, they still require a level of chemical bonding and durability that many environmentally friendly formulations currently just cannot meet. There's a critical performance gap.
So it's that classic trade-off, performance versus sustainability. We want eco-friendly options, but they might not be strong enough or resilient enough for everything.
Exactly that. There's growing interest in biodegradable and bio-based adhesives, made from materials like lignin, starch, or natural rubber, to meet sustainability goals. And while these are incredibly promising for low-stress applications like paper or textiles, they often lack the heat resistance, the chemical stability, the mechanical strength needed for those critical sectors.
Right, so you couldn't realistically bond, say, an airplane fuselage or an electric circuit with a starch-based adhesive. Not yet, anyway.
Not at scale, no. Not reliably for those kinds of stresses. Those applications demand properties, extreme temperatures, sheer load-bearing capacity that eco-friendly alternatives simply can't match yet. It's a fundamental tension between cutting-edge innovation and eco-responsibility that material science is really grappling with right now.
That brings us nicely to the transformative trends. So, with these significant challenges, raw materials, environmental demands, how is the industry not just coping, but actually innovating? How are they turning these very obstacles into opportunities? What new frontiers are they bonding towards?
Well, one of the most significant trends directly addressing that performance sustainability trade-off we just talked about is the continued adoption and, importantly, innovation in bio-based and eco-friendly adhesives. Leading companies like Henkel, Sika AG, they're heavily investing in developing carbon-neutral and recyclable bonding agents. This is directly supporting global ESG mandates, environmental, social, and governance goals.
And it's not just about corporate responsibility, is it? It sounds like there's real market demand pushing this, especially in certain regions.
There absolutely is. In Europe and North America specifically, green building certifications and corporate sustainability goals are directly pushing demand for low-emission adhesives, both in construction and manufacturing. It's rapidly becoming a non-negotiable market requirement, and that's driving innovation.
Okay, so beyond just being green, I've heard talk of smart adhesives. That sounds intriguing. Are adhesives becoming more than just binders? Are they doing more?
They absolutely are. We're seeing the development of truly functional and, well, smart adhesive technologies. In the electronics sector, for instance, you have ultra-thin conductive adhesives. These are enabling the incredible miniaturization of devices we see everywhere. They're not just holding components together, they're actually part of the circuit in some cases.
Wow, that's amazing. And in healthcare, how are adhesives becoming smart there?
In healthcare, we're seeing things like antimicrobial adhesives being used in wearable medical devices. They add a crucial layer of protection against bacteria right on the skin or within the device itself. And then in aerospace and defense, companies are exploring self-healing adhesives and high-temperature ones for mission-critical applications where failure is just not an option. Imagine, a minor crack forming in an aircraft wing and the adhesive actually repairs itself. We're not quite at Wolverine-level healing yet, but the potential is incredible.
So these innovations are really transforming adhesives from just passive binders into multifunctional components that improve overall product performance and life cycle. It's not just holding things anymore, it's actively doing things, enhancing functionality.
Exactly. It's a fundamental paradigm shift, really, in how we view and utilize these materials.
Let's zoom out for a moment then and look at the global landscape, the competitive dynamics. Where is the action really happening in terms of production and consumption in this market?
The Asia-Pacific region continues to, well, dominate both production and consumption. Countries like China, India, Vietnam, South Korea, they benefit immensely. They have strong industrial manufacturing ecosystems and also surging domestic demand for vehicles, electronics, packaged goods, you name it.
And governments are getting involved too, it seems, to actively boost this sector.
They certainly are. Government programs such as Make in India and Made in China 2025, they're actively encouraging foreign direct investment in adhesive manufacturing plants and R&D hubs. These strategic initiatives are really solidifying Asia-Pacic's position as the sort of global adhesive powerhouse.
And who are the big players we should know about in this competitive landscape? What are their strategies generally?
Yeah, the competitive landscape is led by major players you might recognize, like Henkel AG & Co., KGaA, 3M, Sika AG, H.B. Fuller, DuPont. Their strategies, well, they're generally focused on active portfolio expansion through mergers and acquisitions, plus relentless product innovation and aggressive global expansion to maintain and grow their market share. It's a very active space.
And finally, how is digital integration playing a role? It seems like such a physical world, adhesives. Where does digital fit in?
That's a really interesting aspect, actually. Companies are increasingly integrating quite sophisticated digital tools into their operations. We're talking about things like AI-based formulation platforms using AI to help design new adhesives, also IoT-enabled quality monitoring systems on production lines, and even smart packaging analytics that use data from adhesive application.
And what are the tangible benefits these technologies are bringing? Is it just efficiency?
It's efficiency, yes, but more than that. These technologies are dramatically improving efficiency, for sure. But they're also significantly enhancing the customer experience through better product consistency and predictability. And crucially, they're helping to reduce waste across the entire value chain. It's taking a traditional industry and making it highly optimized and responsive using digital tools.
So, to kind of wrap things up, we've explored how adhesives are far from simple glues. They really aren't. They are, in fact, highly engineered, critical components, enabling innovation across vast industries, from massive construction projects to the cutting-edge electronics in your pocket.
Absolutely. And the market is poised to evolve dramatically. It's truly moving from what was once maybe seen as a largely commodity-based sector to a technology-enabled, sustainability-driven industry, especially as the global economy advances towards smarter, greener, and more connected systems.
Right. We've seen how adhesives are evolving to meet these extreme demands for lightweighting, for miniaturization, sustainability. So as our world continues to push the boundaries of what's possible, I mean, think about advanced robotics,
Yeah.
personalized medicine. How might the next generation of bonding agents not just hold things together, but fundamentally change what products can do? How they interact with their environment. Imagine the invisible revolution that adhesives might enable next, right? In the products you use every single day. What could that look like?